there's no place on earth I wouldn't want to be than right here, in this minute of trying to bring success to one of the biggest football clubs in the world. The basic underlying principles that I want my team to play football that scares the life out of every opposition, mate. That's kind of the end game.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whenever you're listening to this podcast. We could have actually won that. That was an actually really interesting game, I thought. What did you make of it overall? We'll go like sort of through the first half and the second half in bit by bit. But I just thought that the Gooners were very cocky and confident before. And you got the impression, didn't you, that they thought this was a foregone conclusion?
Yeah, it wasn't just the fans. It was all the pundits said they were going to win. I can't remember anyone saying that Spurs had a chance. And it felt like, we had nothing to lose by going there as underdogs. And to come away having scored 2 goals and got a point there, that's such a rarity. So it just shows.
Absolutely.
We're on the up. They've dropped 2 points. We've gained 1 point.
Yeah, exactly. And to be fair, although we'll cover this in more detail, really, towards the end, I think probably we will be the ones that are the least happy because, in the last pod with Sarah and I, we both said 2-2. We think this, will probably end up. So we will bang on. But in actual fact, for the last sort of like 20 minutes or so, I thought we probably were the likelier to nick it and take it.
Yeah, and when you think that their 2 goals were, one was an own goal, the other was a penalty, they'd hardly deserved anything from that game, really.
No,
and we deserved to win.
Yeah,
and I won't hear it. We were lucky, because how could you say we were lucky?
No. Well, let's get into the nitty gritty of it actually, because in the first half, I thought we looked a bit off it at the beginning. So like in the first, I don't know whether it was nerves or whether we were just or they were, but they just seemed to me a little bit sharper and a little bit quicker than we were. We dwelled on the ball a little bit too much, and they turned over possession, like dispossessed us quite a few times actually at the sort of first probably 25, 30 minutes. Bissouma and Sarr to me looked a little bit off it. I don't know. What do you feel? Did you feel that was we were?
Well, I thought that as the home team, they had to attack us from the start and to see if they could open us up and get an early goal, which is what they normally do.
Yeah.
But they didn't manage it this time. And when you think we had at least 5 or 6 players making their North London debut, I thought we coped really well, and we were unlucky both times we went behind.
It kind of felt, didn't it, that we weren't carrying that baggage with us. And in years gone by, you always kind of feel like some of the players sort of know the score, and eventually that kind of psychologically creeps in, and we just we end up just messing up. But this lot are young enough and brave enough not to carry that, and as you say, like quite a lot of them, it was their first game, not to carry that baggage, and I think that worked for us.
Yeah, I mean, right through the team, right through the spine, Maddison and Vicario and Porro. Johnson, whoever it was their first London derby, North London derby, and
absolutely.
The fact is, we've dropped 4 points away from home now, and Arsenal have dropped 4 points at home.
So good point.
We are the better team, and we're still in the top 4.
Well, I mean, Ange said, didn't he, before the game? He said, really, this will be, results aside, what this game will tell me is how committed are we to playing the way that I want to play. And I think we saw that, because we did grow in confidence towards the end of that half. If we sort of go to the goal, which was the own goal, I mean, okay, that did feel like that was coming at that point. But it was, but we had to score it for him. But it's a shame for him. But actually, one of the things that I did pick up upon, I don't know if you saw this as well, and there were several moments that were kind of in adversity for us, with the unity, like the way the squad pulled together to rally round Romero at that point.
Yeah, Vicario gave him a little hug, and can't be helped, mate. Just get on with it.
Absolutely,
They were in the ascendancy when they scored, so you could see it coming. And we had been playing that short ball out the whole time, which is fine. and I feel safer when we do it with Vicario than whenever we did it with Lloris, because it just always invariably ended up coming back to him. So being
But
a goal.
That
So,
was
yeah.
nice as well. So, like you were saying about that short ball, that the idea that, I mean, in the past, I'd have been really, really nervous about it. But and even the commentator, I can't remember who it was now, said Spurs been very brave with with the passing around there. And it is a bit scary at times because we do a lot of passing around that area. But it was very technically precise. And you feel that that's what Ange's looking for, the bravery, and we did start to see it more and more. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, because I Basuma lost the ball quite early on in a dangerous area, but he still kept to his game plan, which was just holding on, turning, distributing the ball, but at his own pace. But he didn't start hoofing it,
no,
as we might have done in previous years under some kind of panic attack that we would be having.
Absolutely, yeah. And then about 15 minutes or so later, Maddison, I thought he was man of the match, wasn't he? I mean, he got awarded that, but
again, 2 assists.
Yeah,
what a
amazing.
snip. The bargain buy of the summer, without a shadow of a doubt.
Absolutely. When you think, I mean, like,
close.
Obviously Rice is a good player, but for 100 and odd million, it's Maddison for 40 million plus, actually probably more like 30, because we sent Winks the other way. So that is the bargain of the season. And when he, when he cut in from the goal line, I thought that was going to go out there, and he managed to keep it in and knock it to Son. Had a lot to do still.
He took it so well. The goal.
Beautifully.
Yeah, Maddison's tenacity, following that through and getting that crossover. Yeah, it was an incredible goal to score at that time. And both our goals came at good times, didn't they? One just before half time, and then of course the equaliser in the second half, straight after they scored.
So Son seems to have risen to the challenge, doesn't he, of taking on Kane's mantle? Do you think he's now the main striker, or do you think Richie will sort of come back into that?
Well, with 5 goals in 2 away games, I'd say Sonny is the main guy now, but he can do it away from home, less so at home, where teams come and play a low block, as they say. But I think the relationship that he's built up already with Maddison just augurs very well, doesn't it? They were fab together, and they've replaced Kane. The 2 of them between them have replaced Kane, because Maddison's doing what Kane would have done in midfield, and Son's doing what Kane would have done in front of goal. So.
And I thought, sort of, as we grew into the game, which was maybe about sort of 30, 35 minutes into the game, really, once we started to get it together, we weren't getting dispossessed so easily. And then it started to look, actually, we were in the ascendancy, like we just mentioned. But even the commentators kind of mentioned that, that basically Spurs now were on the up. That did show a lot of courage to do that. I mean, it's a hostile atmosphere there, whatever you say. I know the jokes about them being really quiet, but there is a different place now, I think, there. They got this kind of swagger about them. But I thought then they started to look nervous. Did you?
Yeah, they would definitely look nervous once we scored a goal. If we could have gotten ahead in that game at any time, we would have gone on to win it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because the fans would have got on their back. And we could have just hit them on the break and got us another. I'll take a point all day long.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to be honest, lots of people would have said beforehand, "We'll take a point." So we're not unhappy with that, but it did feel, as we mentioned before, that we could have sneaked that. I mean, I'm sure they probably felt the same, but it just felt to me that the more likelier of the two would have been us to steal it.
Yeah, I think if they'd had a harder game in midweek in their Champions League game, we could have won that today.
Yeah,
but because they were able to make those early substitutions on Wednesday night, was it? Yeah, it was Wednesday. It helped them. But they would have had the excuses ready, we've played twice more since Spurs last played, and
I'm sure they still will, and I mean, I thought actually we might see him tire a bit towards the end. I don't think we noticed that because obviously they'd brought on a lot of subs. But the thing, if you're going to challenge for the league, which they profess to be in that position, right? Then your squad needs to be ready for that. We've never said that's what
we're doing.
No,
so we're still under the radar, which is great.
Yeah. Absolutely.
A big shout out to Udogie, who got booked so early on.
Yes.
Yet was disciplined from there on in, and got better and better as the game went on. So,
and he could have lost his nerve there because the fans were a little bit then on his back, trying to get him sent off. You saw Saka a bit later in the game, like all that play acting, really trying to get him sent off. I'm amazed there wasn't a red card because the ref was giving out so many yellows. But I think that that took a lot of courage. I think there was a little wobble from Udogie after that card, and you could see. I think you could sort of read
he did
it in his
that back
face.
pass, that no look back pass straight after he'd been booked, which was like, oh, but Vicario came to the rescue.
But then he settled, didn't he? I don't know whether that's the team like rallying around him, but he settled, and but he just he reads the game really well.
They all do, Mickey VDV.
Oh man, what
incredible.
a player!
Kulusevski had his best game since he's come back. I think today he just got stronger and stronger as the game went on. No one didn't play well. I mean, everyone played to a level. And no one really had a stinker. In fact, Romero was the unluckiest player on the pitch, obviously, scoring an own goal and giving away a penalty.
Well, it says a lot, doesn't it? That so it's not a delusion that we were playing so well, because our player, the away team, got man of the match. And he went off after about 70 minutes or something, wasn't it? Like 75 minutes, I think.
Who was that? Madison or Son got man of the match?
Madison got man of the match.
Oh,
and bearing in mind, Son got 2 goals. Madison
yeah.
still got man of the match, but actually, I think it could have even gone to Van der Ven. I thought Van der Ven had an imperious game. He read the game so well. I really didn't put a foot wrong for me.
He's a combination of Richard Goff and Jan Vertonghen.
Yeah, we've really got a good player there. And I think we said this last pod, Paul, that we that there maybe we're thought that perhaps of the 2 defenders we were looking at, Tapsoba might have been the one that really we were after. I think we got it seems to me we got the right one here. This guy has got everything about his game.
He settled in so quickly.
Yeah,
but they're all lovable, aren't they? All the new signings. There's no one there. Even Manor or Solomon was okay.
Yeah,
needs to bulk up a bit, I think, in the same way that Brian Hill needs to bulk up a bit. But all the signings are great,
and the way that we talked about the unity, but then the way they come together, like whenever they make a good challenge, they're shoulder charging each other, and they're sort of like they look pumped for it. There's a real kind of like we believe we can do something. A feel about the whole thing, isn't there?
There's a total unity in that team, which obviously we hadn't seen for a number of years. And you just wonder, maybe obviously Harry Kane going, we thought at the time was going to be, the worst thing that could ever happen, but it's turning into the best thing that could ever happened. And the fact we got 100 million for him. So
wow, wouldn't it be just incredibly beautifully ironic that if we actually won something this year and Kane wasn't in the team? I mean,
I can see it.
You could. It'd be poetic. Not that I'm hating on Kane. He's one of our greatest ever players, and one day I hope he will come back. But yeah, it just would be because everyone had written us off. At the beginning of the season, your best player's gone. We were literally tipped at the beginning of the season to be one of the relegation favourites by one of the bookies.
Well, I've worked out that we're going to get around 80 to 82 points this season.
Wow,
and that's got to be enough for top 4, surely.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, obviously not enough to win the league because there's another team who are on a different planet to everyone else. But I still think coming second or third would be amazing.
In his first season, and given the fact that we've got so many young players and new players, that would be a huge achievement.
It bodes well.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely, Paul. And I think you just get these vibes. In fact, I'm going to read you a quote that's from Madison. He just tweeted. See if I can find it. 1 second. It's bloody disappeared off my thing now. Let's have a look. 1 second. See if I can find it. This is good podcasting, isn't it? Hang on a second.
I'm looking as well.
Madison.
James Madison.
Oh, right. Let me try and find it. I'll find the quote, but basically I'll paraphrase it more or less along the lines of everyone thinks that Spurs is soft and and this kind of weak mentally and all this kind of stuff. He says, I think we've shown that this isn't the case, and then we're on to something different now with this club along those lines. So so here it is.
It's been a great week, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. With the results and the player and the manager getting those awards. So it says neutrals talk about Tottenham. They often say soft, weak, bottle it, Spursy, all that rubbish. I think the last couple of weeks shows we might be going in a slightly different direction.
Right, and he's also said proper game of footy, that points shared in the end, and on we go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I like this. It's kind of like, it's a little bit under the radar. It's not quite fighting talk, but it's like, doubt us at your peril. We feel we're onto something.
Yeah, and the beauty is we only have one game a week. We don't have to worry about anything else except the league, really, until January. And there's plenty more home games than away games to come in the next few weeks. Although, unfortunately, there's another international break quite soon. But if we can go into that international break as doing as well and still unbeaten, still scoring 2 goals every game.
Yeah, we're the new Invincibles.
It's going to be hard to dislodge us.
Absolutely. So we'll get into the second half. We picked up pretty much where we left off, and then a sucker punch. Was that a pen for you?
Of course, it wasn't a pen. He was falling down. Yeah. I mean, his hand was raised because where else would it go? He can't dislocate his hand from his body. That was ridiculous, that penalty.
Oh, it was absolutely ridiculous.
Although I knew it would be given once VAR got involved.
As soon as he went to the screen, I think VAR kind of bottled it, I think. As soon as he went to the screen, you knew they were going to give it. But I think there's no way. What else? Like you're saying, there's nothing else that could be done there. A lot of the kind of pundits were saying, really not a pen, but
and it was so
I'm not
close,
surprised it's given. Yeah,
it was so close to the ball. It's not like
his hand was not in an unusual position. It was literally by his side as he was falling down or going down.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It wasn't. It was not him putting his hand out to stop a definite goal. It's not what he was doing at all.
No.
He was breaking his fall.
Yeah, absolutely. And then again, once more, Vicario's reaction I thought was nice. He went to Romero, and he, not Vicario. So what am I talking about? Some of the other players sort of rallied round him. He looked a bit despondent at that point, but they kind of rallied round him. And then
Romero went over to him.
Yeah, that's it.
Romero went over to him. No, God, you got me at it. Yeah, someone definitely went over to him and then
I forgot who it was.
It was one of his other captains.
I just got sidetracked by that wanker Saka, who then steps up and scores, but then does again the dart celebration.
What's he playing at?
I mean, what is he doing?
Has he not even got his own celebration?
And he's taking the piss, basically. I think he took umbrage to the fact that Maddison went behind trying to pick him up off the floor at one point because he was just rolling around again. So I was desperate for Maddison to score. Would have been so delicious if he'd have scored a sort of free kick and then could have done that celebration himself.
Yeah, if Vicario had stayed where he was standing on that line, he would have saved the penalty quite happily because it would have gone straight at him. But there you go.
I mean, Johnson should have. I can't remember now. I think it was the first half.
He should have scored.
He should have scored. That
he didn't hit it hard enough. Did he? He scuffed it when he hit that.
Yeah,
but it led to the goal anyway. So
yeah, exactly. So I think overall play was really positive, and to that degree, I think this again it shows you the sort of mentality of the players. Literally from the kickoff, seconds later, Maddison robs Jorginho. I think it was
one of the subs.
Yeah, and then what a lovely weighted pass to Son, and he still had quite a lot to do, but it was a lovely calm finish.
Son's first finish, though, I think was even more exceptional because he kind of ghosted in between 3 Arsenal defenders, and the way he connected with that and placed it just in off the post.
Yeah, he is. I mean, like the commentary said, he is a world-class striker. There's no doubt about it. And if we do manage to sign him up to another longer deal, and also, doesn't it just show you what a tosser that previous manager was? That he just couldn't get the best out of Son or any of them.
Son only needs 5 more goals to equal last season's
Oh,
haul.
yeah.
I mean, isn't that crazy? With 32 games to go, it's just shows you Conte. I mean, the more I think about Conte, I can't understand. The South Stand used to sing Antonio. You know, it's like,
I'm not going to
why?
lie. I would sing. I sang it as well because we all believed that he was going to be, a really great manager for us. And that first season, he did well.
Yeah, he got
but
us
it
top four.
but it all just fell to pieces, and he was just excuse making. He didn't play the players in the right system or in the right place, and it was just an absolute mess. And I think he's been shown up really as someone who's not as great as he thinks he is.
No, and Bissouma's shown him up totally because for some reason Bissouma wasn't learning the right way to play. Well, hello.
Yeah, exactly. Now look at him.
The right way now. So
I mean, there was one move. Do you remember that in the second half where he sort of done this feint?
Yeah,
Bissouma, and how he came away with the ball. I thought he was going to turn one way and pass it. He seemed to sort of feint and go back the other way. And I was like,
And then he was through the middle.
Yeah,
it was excellent.
Really, really excellent. And so I had my head in her hands at one point when Maddison went down. He looked like he'd hyperextended his knee.
He caught his studs in the turf, I think, as well. When that looked like, but I just thought he'll get up. He's James Maddison. He'll get up, and he did. Although he came off 15 minutes.
I think it's precautionary. I think he said in the post-match interview, basically, he could have carried on, but he said in a game like this, if you're not 100%, you can lose your team. The game
right
basically.
Thing. And Holbier came on and did okay.
Yeah.
But Johnson also got injured, didn't he?
Tweaked a hammy, didn't he? I think.
So that's a worry.
Yeah. But hopefully that's not
Charlison could have scored, couldn't he, when he came on? He had a chance.
And there was the one where the ball came back to him and he could have just turned and shot and it just kind of got snuffed out. But he looked lively. That was good.
Yeah.
And talk about looking lively. Nketiah nearly broke Vicario's leg. I thought he went in for that scissor chat. How was that not looked at? How's that not a red card? Yeah, exactly.
He totally scissor kicked him.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand why that wasn't a red.
That was a dangerous bit of play there. I mean, also, what about White's smashing the face on Udogie as well? Didn't even get a card.
No, and that was what led to there was a goal at the end of that for them, I think. Was it maybe led to the penalty?
Yeah, a bit more poor refereeing once again, I think.
Yeah, but that was his first North London derby. Poor Rob Jones.
Yeah.
So, and he was the referee for our last 2-2 game away from home against Brentford. So there you go.
Funny that,
Every time we get him, you know what the score's going to be.
That's it. We can all go to the bookies.
2-2. It's another
2-2. So fair result, do you think, or what's your real, like, genuine, truthful reaction to that result?
I'm happy we got a point because it's a place where we traditionally get nothing. As long as we get 3 points next Saturday, which happens to also be my birthday, I'll be very happy with that. 4 points from those 2 games out of 6.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we'll get on to that in a second. We'll do the predictions for that in a minute. We'll make this a short pod and wrap it up fairly quickly. So,
very cool. So, not like a 2-hour one. Good.
No, exactly. But yeah, so just to finish off, then really, I thought this was a bit of a coming of age game for us. Do you think it felt that way to me?
Definitely, because a lot of Spurs fans prior, especially on social media, were very worried about it. And we're kind of being quite pessimistic, and thought we were going to be found out as well. But what we're finding out is that we're a great team.
Yeah, and we're finding out we're resilient. We're finding out we got character. We're finding out that we're brave. We're finding out that they believe in the manager because they're sticking to what he's saying. And you could certainly see that wasn't the case with the previous manager. They didn't believe in that at all towards the end. The Newcastle game just was like the absolute proof of the pudding, wasn't it?
Although Newcastle have done the same again today to Sheffield United. But I would like to think we're a lot better than Sheffield United.
You would like to think, wouldn't you, really? I know we made it hard work against them in the last game, but actually we are, we are player for player, we're just light years ahead.
Yeah. We are still in the top 4.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unbeaten.
And above Arsenal.
Yeah, above Arsenal. They're not even in the top 4, are they? They're, what are they, 5th, 6th?
5th, I think, yeah.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Well, long may that continue.
Absolutely. Right. Let's look forward to the Liverpool game. Let's do a quick prediction for that. First of all, how do you think this one might go? What do you think? How do you think we'll fare in this game? And then give us your prediction.
What was the score last season? We lost, didn't we?
I think we did. I think it was 2-1. I think
it was 2-1 or 2-0. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure, but I think it's going to be a draw, which is, I'd like us to win.
Yeah,
It
their
is
tails are
Liverpool.
up. I thought they were starting very well, but they actually seem to be sneaking games. Like the last game, they kind of come back, and I think they were looked to me like they were going to lose that, and they ended up winning it somehow.
Yeah,
So
they're
that's
now
it. That's
second in the league. So
yeah.
if we beat them, we go above them, though. So there is that incentive. We'd go back to the second.
Well, despite what I've just said, that I think they're looking really strong. I also think they're quite slow and old at the back, and I think we'll have them. I think we might, I think some of our players might have them on toast in that game, and with the crowd behind us, I think we might win that one.
And Ange has 50 games unbeaten at home, so that's a nice record to have. And we're unbeaten still. 2-2 at worst, and 3-2 win at best.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 2-1 to Spurs for this game.
Nice.
And I think that's it. We'll wrap it up. A nice short one tonight, and it's Yom Kippur as well, isn't it? So
well over the fast.
Well, yeah. So I hope that's not going to be too difficult for you, but you're gonna start shortly, aren't you?
I've been starved of decent football for 5 years.
So
a night without food won't kill me. I'm just in a happy place.
Good.
Come on, you Spurs.
Yeah, come on, you Spurs.
There's no place on earth I wouldn't want to be than right here, in this minute of trying to bring success to one of the biggest football clubs in the world. The basic underlying principles that I want my team to play football that scares the life out of every opposition, mate. That's kind of the end game.